Saints fans. Welcome back to another episode of Talking Saints. For today, we're talking Saints. In today's episode, we're going to rank some of the best plays in Saints history. We got the River City Relay. We got Drew Brees' pass to beat the all-time pass record. We got the 63-yard field goal from Tom Dempsey. We got ambush. We got John Gillum's touchdown, the first ever play in Saints history. We got C.J. Spiller's overtime touchdown against the Cowboys. We got the Florida Leap, Reggie Bush in 2009 against the Dolphins. We got Garrett Hartley's field goal to send us to the Super Bowl. We got Tracy Porter's pick six. We got Drew Brees' spin move. We got Lattimore's interception against the Eagles, the playoff game in 2018. We got Hakeem dropping the ball. We got Brett Favre's across the body interception. We got Drew Brees' touchdown reception record. We got the Meet Around. And we got Rebirth. If you think there's a play that should have been on here, you just let us know. But this is our list of the top... I think that should be 16 plays of all time, at least to us. Without further ado, let's go ahead. First up, we got the River City Relay against Drew Brees' pass reception record when he beat the all-time pass record. That's the pass to Traquan Smith. What a way to do it.
I was there for that game, and that was just phenomenal.
Yeah.
I was not there for the River City Relay.
Yeah, 2003.
2003, I wasn't really... around too heavily for as far as watching, the Saints. I know, Deuce McAllister was on the team. Aaron Brooks was dotting it up. I think, the beer man, Michael Lewis was on that team. And
yeah, and that was, I think that kind of epitomizes the Saints,
Yeah.
You're going down the field, all of a sudden this miracle play happens.
And then somehow we still find a way to lose the game.
Yep. Between those two plays, River City Relay was awesome, but the way it ended.
I got to go with
I think Drew Brees. So we're going to write that down. So now let's go over to our next on the list, and that's the Tom Dempsey 63-yard field goal.
Man.
Which
that was an NFL record that stood for a really long time.
And that was back when kickers weren't even kicking. They weren't. That's unheard of. They're like, oh, this guy has half a foot.
Yeah, I know, right? He's not gonna do a club for a foot,
but he hit it. That's a great play. I think it's one of the biggest ones in Saints history, just because it was kind of the, what in the world? We've never seen this before. First in NFL
didn't
history.
Think it was happening. Just like with Justin Tucker hit the 66-yarder.
But I hate to be up against this play. Ambush.
Oh, dude.
I mean, what more do we got to say? Sean Payton having the balls to kick an onside kick.
Probably the gutsiest call
of all time.
I mean,
not just
honestly,
Super Bowl.
not even just Super Bowl, not even just NFL, but
I mean, think about
history,
where we were
I
at.
can't think of anything crazier.
I think it was like 10-6 or something like that.
Yeah.
And we were down
to kick the ball off.
We were about to give it to Peyton Manning and Sean.
With momentum. They had some momentum going on too.
Sean before the half started, he said, "We're doing it, ambush."
Yeah.
And man, me and Alex actually went over and watched all these plays beforehand. That play was chills, man.
It was awesome.
Between those two, I mean, it's got to be ambush.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, Tom Dempsey was going up against
the gutsiest
a
play
fantastic
call, and
play.
I'm glad that it belongs to the Saints.
So ambush moves on. Next, we got John Gillum, and this is the first ever. If you, you were telling me this is the first ever play.
A lot of people do not know this, but this was, I think it was the 1967 season against the Rams. It was the first play, the first second of
now,
Saints
was this the first play or was it the first play at home, or is it the first play ever?
It was the first play ever.
That's crazy. And it was a kickoff return for a touchdown.
Kickoff return for a touchdown, John Gillum. That was the introduction to the Saints to
and we watched the video on that too.
Football. Yeah.
And afterwards really cool. They're playing when the Saints go marching in.
And it's a big celebration, dude.
They're in Tulane Stadium, if I'm not mistaken.
They're all releasing balloons, playing Saints marching in, the whole city.
And it was all erupted. And to be fair, it was
huge.
It was all uphill from there.
Yeah.
It was
well
I'm sure the Saints went on to be a very winning franchise.
We probably lost that game. I don't even remember. I'd be willing to bet we lost that game. Probably the only point we scored that game.
But next we got the C.J. Spiller overtime. I mean, a fantastic play.
Fantastic play.
Beat the Cowboys on a just one play, one long play to.
It was exciting.
I'll say this. It was a great play, right?
Yeah.
But I don't think it was impactful as John Gillum.
I think that, because it's not setting any records, it's during the regular season.
It was a great play. John Gillum does move on, though.
Yeah.
Next up, we got the Florida Leap, Reggie Bush, and, we against that game against the Dolphins and the comeback game in 2009.
That was one of the
we talked about it some, I think, in the last episode, if not mistaken.
Beautiful plays I've ever seen.
The Florida Leap, I mean, it has an entire cool name named after it.
Oh,
But
yeah.
another
Iconic.
play that's going up against a very, very historic play, and that's the Garrett Hartley field goal. My goodness. We
Unreal.
again, we watch some of these plays, and this every time there's a clip, if you haven't seen this video, it's called Pigs Have Flown. I think it's just called Pigs Have Flown, but the quote was
Yeah.
Pigs have flown, hell is frozen over, and the Saints
you
are
got to
going to the
watch it.
Super Bowl.
It was like a Saints announcer who announced that one. And
But-
it's just, it gives you chills.
Well,
It really does.
I think the first time I saw it, man, I was in tears,
and,
man.
And
It's-
the
it's a-
Sean
I was tearing
Payton
up.
before, which we've all had a sour taste with Sean the last few years, but man, just going back and
Yeah.
seeing him, just he puts so much confidence into Garrett Hartley.
Yeah, he looks
before
his-
that kick. You feel like he almost couldn't miss.
He
it.
said, "Look, you're just gonna hit that. You're gonna hit that Fleur-de-Lis. You know,
Yeah.
you hit that Fleur-de-Lis. I don't want you to think about it.
Yeah.
You deserve to be here. Now let's go win a
Yeah,
Super
just like,
Bowl.
that's a great coach
Let's
right
go to
there,
the Super
dude.
Bowl. I mean, man, just like you said, I think if recency bias has been an issue, but I think if you really sit there and take a look at Sean Payton's legacy and what he's done for the Saints, I think
Yeah.
when he comes to the Dome this year, I hope it's the game where we induct Drew Brees into the Saints Hall of
Oh,
Fame.
that would be so cool.
Wouldn't that be an awesome game? But at the same time, I hope they play some cool clips of him. You know, I'm
Yeah.
sure a lot, me included, have some salty
little
feelings
bit,
towards him. But at the same time, I mean, you don't have most of these plays without Sean Payton. Obviously, I think Garrett Hartley's field goal is moving in. All right, so now we got another fantastic play during that season. That's Tracy Porter's pick six to win, pretty much put away the Super Bowl against
was-
Manning.
Such a big moment. I mean, that's every Saints fan knew then
It was done.
It was done. It was over. That was basically the walk-off game winner of the most important game the Saints have ever
I remember
played.
exactly where I was after that game. I watched
remember where I was at,
watched
too.
the game at my grandpa's house with my entire family.
Yeah.
And right after the game, we went and sat in line at Academy for like however long to get the hat, the
Oh,
Super Bowl
really?
champions hat. You know,
That's awesome. I had the NFC Championship game.
the one from the Garrett Hartley
Yeah.
field. That was a good. Drew Brees was showing that hat in that video. That's cool.
Yeah, but that was.
Where were you at?
I was at my aunt and uncle's house in their front living room.
Did you see any
know,
tears
I
shed
was-
that game?
I don't remember if people
I
cried.
was kinda young,
I was in there with
you know?
with my little cousins because it was. I guess it was just that serious of a game that we weren't in there with the adults that game.
We're talking about
Yeah.
emotional plays. This was an emotional play. Tracy Porter's pick six to seal the win for a team that had just went through one of the most, devastating forces of nature that we've ever seen. It's going up against the Drew Brees spin move. Just
Oh,
one of our,
man, that's not fair.
It's not fair. Drew Brees spin move.
That's so fun. That's so iconic.
It's
It
a
was such
fun
great
play.
game. And
It may not be up there with the rest of these, but
Yeah.
to us,
oh,
that
man,
was
that was just
it was a fantastic play
that was a duel.
against the
Matt
Falcons.
Ryan played pretty good that game.
I'll say we talked about that play some in the last episode, so we won't get too much into it,
The whole spinner.
But come on, you're not going to beat Tracy Porter's pick six.
Tracy Porter pick six.
I was actually here for this next game, and this is that Lattimore pick six, where
That was a good game to
that
go
was a
to.
great game.
Man,
Who's the
game
wide
had-
receiver that dropped the ball right into his hands?
That was Alshon Jeffrey.
Alshon
He
Jeffrey.
actually started off as a Bear with
Okay.
Jay Cutler. But that game, we'll just talk about the game for a second, because that game was scary.
It was frustrating.
So, I think Lattimore actually had 2 picks that game.
Yeah, you're
'Cause
right.
we
you're
were
right, you're
down.
right.
Sean Payton had the most aggressive play call on our first drive. He said, "All right, we're going to take this. We're going to launch the ball deep." Drew Brees threw a pick, underthrown to I think Ted Ginn was underthrown to Ted Ginn. So we started off in a whole 0-14.
I was up there. I was there with my now wife. We were watching the game, and I'm sweating bullets, man. All the fans around us we're all getting kind of antsy. Then all of a sudden, that play happens, and the dome just goes crazy, man. I remember I was recording a video, and I was, I was 18 years old, but I still kind of had a higher voice. I said. I had a video of myself. There's a guy dancing in the background, blowing a whistle, and I said. I said, Foles magic? More like Foles tragic, baby. Eagles are out of here.
That's
And then I was hyped.
What play is that up against?
That's going up against, man, that's a good play, but I don't know. It's going up against Hakeem drops the ball. Oh my goodness, Hakeem dropped the ball.
That was our first playoff one, right?
First playoff win.
We keep getting a lot of like Rams references in this video.
Yeah, well, I can guarantee there's not one of those plays isn't in here. But Hakeem dropped the ball, and we were right there in scoring territory, and it was game over. Aaron, that was
muffed the punt or muffed the kick or something like that. Right?
Yeah, I think it was a punt, and right through his hands, and the announcer famously just Hakeem dropped the ball. There is a God after all.
Yeah, it's a great call.
But you know,
you have to go. I think just because of it being the first playoff win, I think
you're
you gotta
right.
go with it.
I'm agreeing with you on this one.
I think.
So we'll move on to Hakeem drops the ball.
I think if the playoff run ended differently, Lattimore versus the Eagles, I think that.
Yeah, I think you're right. If it would have ended up, we won a Super Bowl because of it. But we maybe should have, But we'll move. Hakeem moves on. So Favre interception. Tracy Porter picking off Brett Favre, throwing across his body.
Wild play. What a wild! The game was
a veteran.
They were on like what, the 35-yard line?
Yeah, they could have easily. They could have just ran the ball three times.
The ball called. They got 28 seconds left or something, like 30 seconds left.
Yeah, not a lot, like 34 seconds, and then they could have ran the ball. Yeah. And it actually, if you go back and watch the play,
put us in field goal range, man.
We almost got in field goal range from it. Yeah,
Tracy Porter was phenomenal. That was a crazy offseason.
The game went into overtime, and then we got into field goal range, and there's the play on the other side of our thing. But
that's gonna be hard to beat.
But next up, we got it's going up against Drew Brees' touchdown, breaking the touchdown record, throwing to Josh Hill. Was it Josh Hill?
Yeah, I was there for that game too. With the I think Jacoby Brisket was quarterback for the Colts. Yeah, Andrew Luck was out.
Number 540 and the 504. That was the call.
Iconic.
I remember Drew Brees. Oh my goodness!
I think
29 for 30.
Peyton Manning came
306 yards,
cutting like peppers or something like that.
That was a great thing. But
I
think without that Favre interception, we may not have been a Super Bowl. We may not have been held in a Lombardi Trophy. Favre interception moves on, and then we got a really iconic play with a cool name, the Meach around, where Drew Brees.
Oh, that was a cool.
Threw the interception, and Robert Meacham went and just ripped it out.
Yeah, and not only did he rip it out, but he turned around and
took it all the way
thing in, man.
Yeah, but I'll say this, Meacham, you're outnumbered here because you're going up against Rebirth, arguably the biggest moment other than the Super Bowl in Saints history.
Yeah, and that was a city that had been absolutely devastated by a storm, and that was, there was a time they didn't know if the Saints were going to come back to New Orleans.
Yeah.
That just inspired the entire city. I think
it kicked off the greatest era in Saints history.
That play meant more than it was more than just football.
It was more than it was more than sports.
That's rare to see in the NFL.
It sparked a rebirth in the city of New Orleans, to the people, to the.
What other plays have statues?
Yeah, for real.
Commemorating.
I mean, sorry, Meacham, but you're outnumbered here, buddy. So Rebirth moves on. All right. So let's go ahead and go to round 2. So we're not going to talk too much about these. We're just going to kind of, since we've already kind of talked about them, we're just going to kind of do maybe not necessarily a quick round, but some of these are pretty tough to beat. So we got Breeze's pass record, beating the pass record, but
and they're going up against
ambush.
Ah, man, you just got to go with ambush here.
Ambush. So
no other way around it. That's just.
And then we got moving on, John Gillum and Garrett Hartley's field goal.
So the play that started it all versus the play that got us to the promised line.
Oh my goodness,
that's crazy. That's a crazy thing.
That was the first ever play, and your goal was always to get to the Super Bowl, right?
Yeah.
We didn't, from that first play to that play, we had not been to even close to a Super Bowl.
So you got to go with the Garrett Hartley field goal.
100%.
As cool as the first play was.
All right, next we got Hakeem drops the ball versus Tracy Porter's pick 6. I mean, come on.
One sealed the deal in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And
it was the first playoff win, right?
It's
iconic.
Was cool, yeah.
But it's didn't win us the Super Bowl.
No, so you got to go Tracy Porter pick 6 over the.
And then Favre interception versus Rebirth. I mean, come on.
Yeah, you got to go with Rebirth. As cool as the Tracy Porter pick was.
So here we go
against Favre.
We're in the final 4. All of these plays are just so iconic, and all of these could be number 1. Well,
yeah, this is where there's going to be a lot of discussions in the
I think we
comment
might.
section.
So first off, we got ambush versus Garrett Hartley's field goal. And I'll say, I'm leaning towards ambush on this one.
Oh, man.
Both are, oh my goodness. I mean, they're both, one got us there, but one, I don't think there's
I think for as far as iconic plays go, like, okay, so the Garrett Hartley field goal means so much. The city of New Orleans, such a great play.
Garrett Hartley can go into any
Such
bar
a
in New
cool
Orleans and
moment,
get a free drink.
right?
Yeah.
An ambush will stand the test of time. Is like one of the most iconic and gutsiest Super Bowl calls ever.
All right, so I mean, ambush is iconic. You know, it moves on to our final round. But this next one's pretty tough, and I think we might have conflicting opinions on it from based off of what we've kind of talked about.
I think we might.
Tracy Porter's pick six is iconic.
It sealed the deal on the biggest game the Saints have ever played, the Super Bowl. That's
I agree,
hard to beat.
but is it
Rebirth
is it bigger than
like,
Rebirth?
Rebirth is like, jeez, dude, this is hard to even
It's
describe.
tough.
That's the Saints aren't what they are without Rebirth.
I mean, like I said,
the city is not what it is without Rebirth.
I'll say Garrett Hartley's field goal was pretty awesome, but I think this is our big three: ambush, Tracy Porter pick six, and Rebirth are the biggest plays of all time. But I'll say this: Tracy Porter pick six got us, like, sealed the deal.
That's against Peyton Manning.
It sealed the deal. But even if, let's say, Peyton Manning goes down there and scores, it's not over. You know?
I don't know, but he's the reason it's over.
I mean, it's like a heads or tails thing.
But I mean,
it was, like I said, first game back in the Dome after, like, at the time, the most economically devastating, natural disaster ever.
Yeah.
People lost their lives. People lost their homes. I mean, this was, like I said, this was the moment that New Orleans looked the rest of the world in the face and said, you know what? I'm still here. And in fact, I'm about to go on what is Antonio Brown's thing? The generational
run.
The generational run started. I mean, think about what was in this game. That was Drew Brees. That was his first game at home. That was Sean Payton's first game at home.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I don't know if,
all three of them are just,
it's tough. It is tough.
Like flip a coin, man.
I think any of these three could be number one. I don't think the viewers would like the coin toss option. I mean, Rebirth and the pick six, that is, it's the beginning. Rebirth is the opening of the book. And in a sense,
like, it's just,
I mean, these two should have been, Ambush is pretty good too.
Nah, I'm putting both of those over Ambush.
I know.
Which I guess would spoil.
It would mess it up. I mean, honestly, let's be honest. Whatever one's going here, I mean, we could look. I know this is bracket style, but we could put Ambush at third.
Yeah.
And these two are, I don't know. Ambush is still pretty good too. Oh man.
Yeah.
But which one's the best? Which one is the most iconic in Saints history? So it sounds like we're going to have different answers because I am going to choose Rebirth is the best Saints play of all time for me.
I think that the Tracy Porter pick six is, that's the play that won us the Super Bowl.
I think all three of those could be number one. Let's be honest. All three of those could be number one. So you know what? You want to go with Tracy Porter pick six? I say you go for it. I'm going to go with Rebirth just because of the implications. I think it's what led to everything else.
Yeah.
And Ambush should still be up there as well. Those are all fantastic plays.
We ought to have a poll.
And that's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
So you let us know. Out of those three plays? You may think that, I don't know. You may think the Florida Leap was the greatest play of all time, and we're not going to. I wouldn't agree with you, but we're not. We're not going to shame you because of it. So you let us know what was the greatest play in Saints history. Alex says it's the Tracy Porter pick six. I say it was Rebirth. And I think some fans would say it was Ambush, but you let us know. You let us know. Out of those three plays or whatever plays, what do you think is the greatest play in Saints history? That'll about wrap it up for our show, guys. We'll see you in the next episode, guys. Thanks for watching.